Welcome to Lesson 1, an Adobe Illustrator Creative Cloud Jumpstart. In this lesson, we just review some of the techniques and features that you can take advantage of in the Creative Cloud. I'm going to spend much of the time in this video showing you how to use the Shape Builder tool and also take advantage of effects and the Appearance panel. So first of all, start a new file, and I'm selecting New, and I'm just leaving this at Web, and then I'm going to make sure that it's Landscape, because I want it wide. So you notice that you have orientation down here in the lower right. You can really pick any size you want for what we're going to do. And then I'm clicking OK. I'm going out to create a shape, and I want a rounded rectangle tool. And what I'm going to do, instead of creating this rounded rectangle, I'm just going to click once out on the artboard. That allows me to enter a value in here. Now in the book you are given inches in which to enter into the width and height. You do not have to worry about the fact that this says pixel. All you have to do when you want to use inches is simply type 9, and then I'm choosing the double quote mark, and that will convert it to whatever measurement system I am set to as a default. Now I'm pressing tab to go to height, and I'm typing in 7 inches. And when I press tab again, you'll see it's converting it into pixels for me. Illustrator is actually really smart. In fact, I could even come in here if I wanted to, put my cursor after pixel, and then put in divide by 2, and then press the tab key, and it would divide it by 2. It'll do simple math problems as well. So I'm going to go back to 9 inches. Now the corner radius, I want to set that at a little different value. I'm going to set that for 2.5 inches, a rather wide corner radius. So when I click OK, that's the shape I have, and I take my selection tool and I move it up. Next, I'm grabbing the rectangle tool, and the reason I'm doing that is because I want to go from about the center down until I get these sides aligned. The reason I'm doing this is I want to create a shape that has one corner, and the rest are actually not corners, they're curved. So I need to align this exactly. I'm going to pull this in, and you'll see that it snaps in place. I'm selecting both of these objects, and I'm going up to this really incredible tool called the Shape Builder tool, which allows me to click and drag to add shapes. And now that is one shape. Now I'm going to add a color, and you can use, as in the book, Culer to add colors. I'm just going to use the swatches panel for what I want to do, and I'm selecting the selection tool, making sure I have that active, and then selecting a really bright yellow for the fill. If you don't like that color, you can pick whatever you want. Now next, I'm going to take another rounded rectangle out, and I'm clicking and dragging it, and I want you to notice that down in the lower right, I am given measurements. Now in this case, this is pixel. I have given you measurements in the book that are in inches. What if you want to switch between the two measurement systems? Well, I'm going to delete this guy, and I'm going to press Control or Command R. You can right click on the ruler and select that you want to work in inches. Now when I click and drag, you'll see down in the lower right hand corner I am seeing the inches, and I told you to look for about a 2.5 by 1.75, and it doesn't have to be exact at all. Just create this shape in any size you want, just as long as it's big enough to put text in later. Now the other thing I want you to notice is that I am not releasing the mouse. I am still dragging this, and the reason I'm doing that is because if I press the arrow key down or up, when I'm dragging out the shape, I can change the corner radius. So I had to hold down the down arrow for a little bit to see that difference, but now you can see that when I press the down arrow or the up arrow, while I am clicking and dragging, and not after I release the mouse, I can change that corner radius on the fly. So I'm just going to leave this at approximately this shape and release. I want to create that same effect of the corner. So I'm taking the rectangle tool, I'm clicking and dragging out, aligning that up, and now I'm taking my selection tool. I have this rectangle selected. I'm shift clicking to add the other, and going back to my Shape Builder tool, and then clicking and dragging right across. And I'm going to reposition this by going back up to my selection tool. Now I'm going to change the fill color. You can choose whatever color you want. I'm just selecting a green color. And I'm going under Window, and I want to select Appearance. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want you to notice that when you go to the Appearance panel, you can apply separate attributes to the stroke and the fill really easily, which means that in this case, if I wanted to, I could even change the opacity of just the stroke, keeping the fill at 100% and changing the stroke to maybe a 50%. There's no other place you can do that other than in the Appearance panel. What I can also do is select a stroke and then go up to Effect and select some kind of effect that I want to apply. So in this case, I'm going to select Zigzag. I'm going to change the value to about a 0.07, and you can't really see that unless I turn the preview on. And then I'm going to make it smooth. But if you notice, my fill isn't affected by this, only my stroke. I want to clone this. So I have my solid selection tool. I hold down my Alt or Option key, and when I do that, you see two arrows. I can click and drag, and if I add the Shift key, I can constrain it so it doesn't bump out of alignment. But I can select to clone that shape. If I press Control or Command D, that means duplicate my last transformation. And so now it duplicated one exactly the same distance away. This is not a big deal though. If you didn't align these and you had them all over the place, you could also select one, hold down your Shift key, go up to Align, and you'll notice that I can align these all on the left or the center or the right. It'll all be the same no matter what I pick because they're all the same width. But then I can go down to the bottom and I can distribute from the center as well to align those. Now I'm clicking off to deselect those and then just assigning another random color using Fill up here in the options for the other shapes. Oops, make sure I select it and then come up and choose a color. So again, my color panel does not have to be your color panel. I'm sure you can do something a lot more creative with this or just follow the example exactly in the book. I'm just going to complete this video by doing a couple little text edits. I'm creating some text in here. I'm going to type kids, and I am pressing Control A to select my text, just like you would in any word processing application. I can change the size of the text by going up to the control panel at the top and selecting some preset sizes, or if you're a visual person, you can hold down Control Shift and press the greater than key to increase your text size, or the lesser than key. Once you've determined what size you want, make sure you go back to your selection tool and then just place your text somewhere inside that first button. I want to change the fill to white, so I'm going up to the top and I'm selecting white. If I want to choose a typeface, I can also choose that from the top, from the character menu. I can see a sample in here, and I'll go ahead and I'll just select any typeface. And you can do the same. So do you remember how to clone? Hopefully you do. You're still in your selection tool. Hold down your Alt or Option key. Click, make sure you have that kids text selected. Start dragging down, and if you hold the Shift key down, it remains in line. And then press Control or Command D to repeat that. Now I didn't center this text, which might be a little bit of a problem. I'm going to go ahead and select the top text, Shift click and Shift click to select all three, and then go up to the options and center this. The reason I need to do that is because as I add changes to this text, they will appear only on the left alignment and not centered. And that will make a big difference when I have longer words. So I'm taking my type tool, I'm clicking in the second text, double clicking and typing in teens. And you'll see that I have a text overflow, but that's no problem. I can just take my selection tool and extend that a little bit. Now a little trick is this. I'm going to go ahead, I'm staying on my selection tool and I'm double clicking on this third text area. You'll see that it automatically changes to the type tool. I'm typing family. I want to change the width of this text area that I created. So I can hold down my Control or Command key and that temporarily goes back to the selection tool so that I can reposition this. Now, something new in Illustrator is this. If you take your type and you just click, and you'll see that if I type family up here and I just rearrange this, the text doesn't really have a text area. And in fact, if I expand this, you'll see that it expands or condenses the type. The difference between that and creating an area is this. So I'm going to undo that. I'm taking my type tool, and this time before typing family, I'm clicking and dragging and then typing family. This now provides me with a text area. Now what's new in version CC is that I can take this point text, I can click on this little anchor point, and then you'll see that I get a message, double click to convert to area type. And if I double click, now I do have area type. I can also change it back to point type. Click on it once, you get a message, double click to turn it back to point type, and I can do that as well. So that's a really great feature that's been added to Illustrator Creative Cloud. I'm selecting those and deleting those. I'm going to do one more thing here. I'm taking my text tool and clicking and dragging, and I'm typing in Rufus, what's happening? That's not very good. Let me change that. And you'll see that I have text that is just centered and, you know, looks okay. I'm going to hold down my Control-Shift greater than while I have that whole text area selected. I don't even have to select the individual text when I have the selection tool on. But then I'm going up to Effect and I'm selecting Stylize. Then I'm going up to Effect and I'm selecting Warp and I'm selecting Flag. You'll see that I can preview my text and I can adjust it to create whatever effect I want. You can set this for whatever you want and then click OK. Here's the other thing I want you to get out of watching this video. You'll see in the appearance panel that I've applied some warp to this text, but notice I can turn that off at any time because I applied it as an effect. Same if I go back to my shape over here where I zigzagged the stroke, I can also turn that off. I can even click on these as hyperlinks and then I could change the effect as well. So if you want to make dynamic changes, you want to definitely take advantage of the effects in Adobe Illustrator. So in this video, you discovered how to use the Shape Builder tool and also how to take advantage of items in the Appearance panel with effects.